in the last 7 days, and I'm putting that down to the Western Easter. Goonie, 1972, said, the poor guy, Obama, who had to listen to Merkel all day long, I guess he gets an emotional support animal. Very well said. Now to Cambridge, where Trevor wants to speak about the war. Go ahead, Trev.
Good evening, George. It's a pleasure to speak to you again. Now, it's quite fitting that we're speaking about America, and basically what I want to bring to the fore is the falling of an empire, which is almost identical to the Roman Empire. When the Roman Empire debased its currency and expanded its armies too far and could not pay with its silver and gold, then basically it crumbled and died. And that's what's happening to what we call the West at the moment. I mean, as you know, the West, with all of Canada, America, all of Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, equates to between 10 and 20% of the world population. And for the centuries, the appropriately named the West has dominated the rest of the world. Now, the rest of the world are basically they're rejecting this hegemony from these oppressive powers, and they know they've got the resources. They've got the land mass, the resources, the gold, the silver, the lithium, the iron, all of the stuff, and they're thinking, why are we bowing down to these idiots? And in all fairness, this has been it's been held together by really sort of talented politicians in the past. But look at what we've got now. We've got Joe Biden. We've got the likes of Boris Johnson, Theresa May. We've got Emmanuel Macron. We've got this spineless German Chancellor, Olaf Scholz. These people are ridiculous. And obviously, for centuries past, these people have managed to rule the rest of the world. But the rest of the world is fighting back. And good on them. God bless them. Because the thing about what we've lived in for the last 10 or 15 years is a financialized system where assets were on paper, debts basically. But what the world is going back to is a commodity-based system where in one hand you have an ounce of silver or gold, and in the other hand you have currency. It might be a chicken, it might be whatever it might be, but there's labour earned on one side and labour earned on another side, and that's where we're going back to. And thank God for it, George.
Well, that's a brilliant call, Trevor. Definitely the call of the night, or many a night. I know I'm going to overshoot the hour, but I hope the director will forgive me because it deserves an answer. Someone once said, quite recently, I forget who, that this was a war between commodities and capital. And as you rightly say, much of that capital are worthless pieces of paper built on a mountain of debt. But commodities are real things. If you've got oil, if you've got rare earth magnets, as China has 97% of the world's rare earth magnets, if you have oil, if you have gas, if you have gold, silver, lithium, and all the other things that are now vital necessities in the world economic order, you're much stronger than a crowd of people who've got a pile of paper and a mountain of debt, incalculable, unfathomable debt, if you begin to look at some of the issues around financial derivatives. But we'll not get any deeper into that in this discussion. Secondly, the GDP of the countries with commodities is a genuine GDP. The GDP of the Western countries, I'll come back to what is the West in a minute, contain all kinds of things: the proceeds of organized crime, the proceeds of prostitution, the proceeds of illegal drug dealing, or to elevate it slightly, but only slightly, if I'm a lawyer and I write a legal letter to you, another lawyer, the bill for me writing that letter is added to our GDP. But of course, it's not real. It didn't create anything. You can't eat it. You can't fuel your car with it. You can't warm your house with it. You can't build a road with it or repair a bridge with it. You can't do anything with it. It is merely paper, literally in that case. Thirdly, the point that you made was one that my good wife made to me just the other day. We were looking at a picture of, I don't know, some rainbow-bedecked transsexual US military officer or other. There are plenty to choose from. And we were looking at some footage of depraved behavior in front of children, which seems to have become de rigueur in Western society. We were looking at the levels of drug use and mass shootings and all the other manifestations of Western degeneracy, and she made that very point, that this is like the last days of the Roman Empire, which, as you know, did not just debase its currency, did not just overextend its armed forces, was not just financially unable to pay the satrapies and the soldiers and the administrators in this far-flung empire. It had itself become utterly degenerate. Its behavior had become unrecognizable from anything that could be described as, to mix the metaphor, a Spartan state ruling the world with its economic and military strength. It had become a Rabelaisian brothel of a society, and that too sapped its strength and caused it to be so weak that it tumbled in upon itself. Now, does any of that seem familiar to you, viewers? Does any of that seem comparable to Western society today? Because it does to me. But my last point to you, Trevor, is this. And by the way, the West, as you defined it, is 13% of the world's population. Although a significant number of people who live in the West are not actually from the West. Many of them are from the countries that the West has dominated. Maybe they've immigrated here, maybe they have fled here, maybe they have sought asylum here, maybe they've crossed the water in a dinghy to get here. Secondly, a significant number of the 13% are wholly opposed to the world order over which our governments, our states preside. And a very much larger number of our 13% of the world's population have gained nothing from Western domination of the globe, who don't have two halfpennies to rub together, who can't feed their children properly, who cannot heat their homes properly, who have to check the price of everything that their child asks for to see if they can afford it, who may be out of work now, who may be worried that they're about to be out of work, who may see their living standards steadily declining as inflation rises and pay increases fall far short of the increase in inflation. So when you add all that up, Trevor, looks bleak for the big power that was once the West, don't you think? It's the hour. In fact, it's 5 minutes past it. But thank you, Trevor, in Cambridge, for giving me the chance to get that off my chest. I'll be right back with a Russian guest, a very interesting one indeed, Masha Lelyanova.